The cameras are ready. The microphones are ready. Let's get ready for Wi-Fi.
Right, we have, it's all a bit awkward because you sat next to me, but a star, an actual star, an award-winning actor.
Nominated, not award-winning.
No, but you have won one. You've, as part of a cast.
Ensemble, yeah.
Yeah. One Empire Award winner. 7 award nominations. It's not bad, is it?
That's all right, yeah.
Alfie Allen, thank you very much for coming on Wi-Fi. Had far to travel?
Today, no, just came from West London. Just staying over there at the moment, but no, it's I've come to this gym a few times, so it's just nice to come back here.
I train Alfie, so as and when he's here, we get to it. Yeah.
So you're now fully fledged proper boxer. If you've been coached by Ryan,
Too
you're
right.
the governor now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
He's ready. I just need to find an opponent that's up for it.
Quick, as we're on that, would you ever fight? Would you have one?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You would?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd
no
give it a
doubt.
go, without a doubt, definitely. It would just depend on who I was matched up with. Do you know what I mean? But yeah,
I'll look after you.
Teacher, so yeah.
I'll look after you. Today makes me feel a little bit anxious because I've known Alfie for a long time, and I feel like protective. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird one because normally when we get people on, we just ask them straight questions, and Alfie's my mate, so
We've known each other, what, like 15 years? Yeah.
yeah. I was thinking about that.
Me
It's
too.
about 15
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
And
15
how
years.
did you both meet?
Through the other Ryan
Yeah.
Thomas,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. I
you
think
would-
we probably met on a night out and sort of.
but it was through Ryan.
Yeah,
it was through
yeah.
that connection.
Yeah, and we just clicked because
Yeah.
2 peas in a pod in some ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's funny. I always thought it was through the gym that you met.
No. When I met Alfie, like obviously you know I was a boxer and sort of I wanted to get involved in doing a bit of training. So you just sort of come down and do a bit of training, and that's continued ever since. And we've just stayed in touch. And wherever he is in the world, we're always just loosely in touch.
I used to sort of train me a little bit at that place, Angel Design Business Centre.
That's right, yeah. Revolution.
That was it. Yeah, Revolution. Yeah.
Yeah, now he comes down here and learns his skills, and turns out you might need them skills.
I mean, if it comes to fruition, the job that I can't really talk about yet, but that's part of it. I've got to just kind of not get my hopes up about these things too much sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I was speaking to the director the other day about it, and he was like, "These people are really intrigued," and I was like, "Okay, great." And he was like, "Can you sound a little bit more excited than that?" And I was just like, "Well, it's not happened yet," and I do get emotionally attached to those kind of things and the idea of doing it, but I have to just sort of distance myself from it slightly, and the kind of the hard work or the fun part of it really starts happening. This particular job isn't something I auditioned for. The director's got the rights to it, and then he's shown an interest in me in wanting me to do it. So when if it does happen, then yeah, it would be amazing.
So when you're like being pursued for a job, obviously, like you say, you sort of keep your cards close to your chest because you don't want to dive in because it's not a reality yet. At what point does it come a reality when you can start to relax and go, this is happening? Is it a contract or because?
Well, I mean, it's if you're auditioning, then it's once I guess depends on how many auditions you do, but you might get sort of a call back, and then you got another audition, and sometimes I kind of look at that process and I think it can be demoralizing if you kind of get to the last bit and then you don't get the job, but then when you do get the job's just started. It's not even started yet. So even though you're in a celebratory mood because you've got this job, the fun stuff, or like I was going to say, the kind of hard work hasn't really even started yet. So you've got to sort of keep your feet planted firmly on the ground, and it's just about compartmentalizing all those emotions. And then as an actor, you then have to get ready to sort of compartmentalize a person within you, which can be seen as slightly sociopathic, I guess.
I'm fascinated. I sort of, by habit, compare everything to boxing, and I'm just listening to the process there from sort of, from start to almost finish. For me, the training camp, if you like, the beginning part, was always the toughest process. That sort of the fight itself was the part where you can kind of show off and express yourself. That's the moment where you show all the hard work. For you, what was the most enjoyable part of the acting process, and what's the hardest?
I mean, the most enjoyable part of it is when you can really, again, you've got to sort of not try and overanalyze it. So then you're kind of setting the bar to then try and kind of get to that point or get past that point. But it's just when you feel you've achieved a certain amount of truth in the moment. Do you know what I mean? Because I was saying this to you the other day when we were talking about it. My job as an actor is to kind of trick you into believing that I'm someone else. Do you know what I mean?
I guess it is,
but then there is a real truth and sincerity there that you have to kind of sort of get to. And if I keep on kind of questioning that in myself the whole time, then it becomes insincere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, the fun part is, you know, whether you're on stage or whether you're on a film set, it's just knowing when, but then also not knowing when something has gone right, because you just have to keep on building on that, and then also be ready for somebody to step in and go, right, forget all of that just happened. Now I'm going to smash that, and you've got to go and do something completely different to the way that the director wants it to be done. So
Yeah.
That's just quickly. There's a couple of distractions. We've got the phone going off, and you might hear my son coughing in the background and making a few silly noises. So apologies there.
That's not Ludwig, the producer. That's just on what you were saying there. When I'm coaching boxing, I often relate acting to boxing. When I'm coaching someone to box, I talk about how it is, in a way, you've got to make your opponent believe you. If they don't believe you, they're not going to fall for your trap.
Right, yeah.
They've got to believe you. You're trying to manipulate your opponent. You're acting to be, acting to be vulnerable, and you want them to start letting their shots go so that you can then
A full sense of security.
totally. You know, you are an actor in a way in the ring. That's what I believe anyway. I don't know if you see it like that, Dal.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Certainly, in a build-up to a fight, and I found it more probably in the pros as well, because it's a longer, format, 12 rounds, and you've got longer to act, if you like, in brackets, where you can show a little pretend weakness, and all of a sudden, as the rounds start progressing, you start coming on strong, and that's demoralizing for your opponent. For me, this is always a question that I've wanted to ask an actor. When you see the finished article, has there ever been a time where you look at it and you think, not so much yourself, but the editing that's been done? Do you ever think, why have they done that? Do you know what I mean? Because you can act your socks off to a point where you think, do you know what? You're patting yourself on your back, you think, I've done brilliantly there. And then you watch it and you think, why have they done that?
Well, I mean, there's definitely performances that I've watched of other people. And, I'll watch it and go, that hasn't really sort of rung true to me in terms of what I kind of expected. And then I've watched the same thing like 3 or 4 or 5 years later and gone, why did I think that?
Really?
That many years back then, do you know what I mean? Because it's completely had a different effect on me 4 or 5 years down the line, and that's...
Well, so sometimes you can watch something through a different lens.
Absolutely.
Your own lens changes as you grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny, your palate does as well. Like, I'm just thinking about when I was a kid. I think if my mum give me a courgette or something, I'd be like, what is that? But now as you grow up, you think, you sort of become a bit more intelligent with your outlook on things.
Yeah, totally. But I'm not really one that kind of watches the monitor when I'm on set. So if I do a take and I think it's, if it's a good take, or I just sort of trust in the director. It's all a sort of collaborative process, So you just have to trust in the people you're working with. That's what it's all about. It's just about trust,
Is acting for you? Is it your sole form of expression? Like for boxing for me was how I let go of all my energy. And I suppose, for a guitarist, it'd be the playing a guitar or a pianist, a piano, a writer, the pen.
Yeah.
Like, is acting where you release, express yourself? Do you really feel that way about it?
Yeah. If it goes right, without a doubt, definitely. And if you've got the right people around you to be able to listen to, and I don't mean kind of, in terms of, them giving you advice. I mean, just sort of, for instance, if you're on stage and doing theatre, it's all about listening, So if you've got people that are, and sometimes I'm not going to 100% be there or think that I'm really giving it my all. If you have people that are really good at what they do, do you know what I mean? Then it makes you want to kind of be up to their level. So it can become, without a doubt, a form of expression. For me, a healthy one, definitely. But
Joe.
Stuck his finger up at me. I just want, we'll catch up to this present if you like, but let's bring it right back. Let's go back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You are the son of a famous dad.
Yeah.
And a famous sister.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your sort of upbringing.
I mean, your whole family, creative family, isn't it?
Yeah. Did I read that your third cousin is Sam Smith?
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
According to 23andMe.
No, I think that is. I think that's true. I've bumped into Sam a few times, and yeah, it's very distant, but I think I think that is true.
I'm related to Brad Pitt somewhere, as you can see.
Oh yeah, come on, Brad Armpit.
That's about right.
No, my mum is in the industry, my dad is in the industry, and my sister is a very talented songwriter and singer. So yeah, it was all. It's all there.
A proper creative family. Yeah. Do you feel like coming from that bubble, that household, was it ever an option? Like, what did your parents kind of inspire you to do? Was it was academia? Was that a sort of direction that they would?
Not really.
Want you to go in?
I mean, for me, I always just loved playing sports at school and acting. When I was given the opportunity to be the class clown, and go on stage and kind of lap up the opportunity to also just play around with people and my classmates. And even when I was playing, I played a lot of rugby and I played a lot of ice hockey when I was a kid. As soon as the rugby kind of became a serious thing in terms of playing for my county or playing for Portsmouth, I lost interest because it was like all about playing with my mates on a Saturday,
right?
Who I was.
You didn't want it to be serious.
Not really. I'd already decided then I kind of wanted to pursue acting, and so. But I especially enjoyed ice hockey. I had to make a decision between ice hockey and rugby.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Real tough sports, but those are the things that I really liked. I loved playing ice hockey when I was a kid.
Something you can get stuck into, something physical.
Yeah, totally, yeah. Yes, and
so sports and acting, but when it came to like your sort of general subjects, maths, English, were you into that stuff? Or
I enjoyed English. Maths not so. I enjoyed art. I enjoyed kind of. I mean, it's just all about your teachers, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I suppose it is.
Nice teachers that you get along
with.
But
I feel like we've got in us these sort of authentic things that you enjoy just because you are a certain nature. Mm-hmm. And like I was trying to work out whether you coming from a creative family made you creative or you just have it in you. What do you have an opinion on which one or both?
I think both.
Yeah.
I think those kind of things are can be a help and a hindrance. I think if you're kind of trying to emulate what your parents did, then at the same time, if you're trying not to do that, you're basically still doing the same thing either way, you know, you're fucked either way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, if you're trying to sort of get away from what they're doing, you're still taking inspiration from what they did or didn't do. Do you know what I mean? So
Totally.
it's,
Like we've spoke about this many times, haven't
Yeah.
we? Like they're the king and queen. No matter how you look at it, no matter whether you get on with them or you don't get on with them, or whether you even know them or not. Like if you've got an inkling of what they were, I feel like somewhere inside you you're pulled towards trying to impress them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's exactly. And then you kind of have to find that healthy point of sort of breaking away from that, I guess.
Yeah, and is it authentic? Are you actually doing it for you, or are you only doing it to impress them? And then at some point you got to grow up, haven't you? And
Totally. And then whatever can sort of materialize from that can be even more positive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which is it's a scary thing. Do you know what I mean? Without a doubt, but we all go through it.
Yeah.
So when what sort of age was you? You sort of alluded on it then about, right, that is the path I want to be on. I want to be an actor. Can you remember exactly when that was and when you started thinking, right, I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket here and pursue that?
I mean,
Yeah, when did shit get real?
when did shit get real with the acting?
And also, sorry to jump in there as well. When did your sister start the singing? Was there ever a kind of a stage where you thought, can you sing?
I can sing, yeah.
Can you
I
sing?
Give us a go.
You can do our intro.
No, I've got a couple of songs on Spotify.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, I did them for a film, and Guy Garvey from the band Elbow wrote the songs for me. All I did was sang the theme tune, and so that's all I did. I just sung them. I didn't play any of the instruments. I didn't. But yeah, it was for a movie called How to Build a Girl with Beanie Feldstein and Paddy Considine, amazing. And yeah, no, I love singing. You know,
It was never like,
I mean, as a form of expression, do you know what I mean? Without a doubt, even now, I kind of, you know, I'm really into my music. You know, as soon as I kind of hear something that gets me going, it can easily become a part of my acting and kind of how I can build a character around that. But then I also have to I can just rely too easily on that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, no, I mean, when I was doing a play in New York, I had a playlist for that character. I had certain songs for the character I was playing, Game of Thrones, weirdly, by Elbow, actually. One of them was called The Loneliness of a Tower Crane Driver. And even the title and the kind of the lyrics of it became really important for me when I was sort of kind of trying to get into the vibe for that character. So
Which character was that?
Theon
Right,
Greyjoy.
right, yeah.
Theon Greyjoy. So yes.
What was your original question?
Yeah.
Dal?
So when did it? Sorry, that I must my mind that is.
No, I went
asked
off on
about
one
a
as
million
well.
questions
No.
and expect you to answer them all. When did it get serious for you? When was it obvious to you that acting was what you wanted to do?
Well, I remember doing plays, and my family used to be involved in kind of like Christmas pantomime when I was a kid, and I quickly kind of realised that I enjoyed being on stage. You know, it wasn't something that made me nervous. And in pantomime, you know, things can go wrong. And I loved it when things went wrong on stage and people just kind of made it up as they went along. And the thrill of that, like really...
Sort of improv.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Improv. And the audience loved it when things went wrong. And there's a togetherness there that kind of like you're all... I guess, you know, that's the kind of attraction of being on stage, is when those moments happen, they're only exclusive to the people that are in that building.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're doing things on film and TV, it belongs to everything and everyone, and their kind of objectification of that or their perception of that.
It's almost like where there's a chink, that's where the magic is. Like when there's a problem, that's where the magic is.
Totally.
I watched a video the other day. George Best, I'm not a football fan, but George Best was talking about how he loved to be an entertainer and like playing. He said people go to games now and you don't see the crowd laughing at all. And he was like, when I played, I wanted to entertain, and he was talking about a specific game where
It was Rodney Marsh, and
was it?
Yeah,
and
Rodney
he
Marsh
went and tackled his
him,
mate
yeah,
like
yeah,
on his team. He tackled him and then he tackled him back.
I've seen that.
And the whole crowd were laughing. Like, I mean, that's magic, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
great.
they're
He
just
was
having
very
a bit of
similar
fun.
Maradona.
Yeah.
You know, it was about showing, entertaining.
Yeah.
Totally.
But all of those people that are like, genius is a word that's sort of overly used, I think. But, you know, someone like Ronnie O'Sullivan or Maradona, like, they've just got this thing that sort of happens.
Yeah.
Hero, legends,
Yeah.
pioneers. They're just,
And that's where the magic is, right? It's
Yeah.
like, when it's perfect, it's almost too linear.
I find myself being drawn to bloopers. You know, like if I like it when things sort of mess up a little bit.
Yeah.
Sort of
That's
those
what I'm saying. Like
imperfections.
that's the magic. That's like authentic magic. There.
I don't know if you've ever seen. You must have heard of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, of course,
It's probably my favourite ever program. I think this is the final series. It's just, I think actually I'm going to say it now. It's clarified itself as my number one ever.
Right.
It's so good. A lot of that's improv. It's so good, and you see Larry David, the star in it, often laughing and smiling at himself because he doesn't know that's going to come. And he finds it, so he just cracks up, but he lets it go. It's still in there.
Yeah.
And do you think that inspiration came from, like, obviously your dad was in comedy as well, so like, do you think that, like, I don't know if he was or he wasn't, but I'm assuming a bit of a joker at home and stuff, like, was that like, oh, this is how you gain joy in life? By things being a bit fucked up and, you know, like laughing at stuff. And
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's without a doubt. I mean, my dad would always he was very, you know, my nan was very Welsh. My nan was, her first language was Welsh before she knew English. Yeah, so my dad was always kind of impersonating my nan and was always doing kind of funny accents. And for me, you know, when I kind of sort of play a character, I prefer to sort of assign a certain voice or certain kind of tics within, or like say chinks within the kind of the accent of a character or a voice, and then that really helps me. The kind of musicality of that helps me kind of build something around a character. So
sort of separating it from yourself in a way. You create a new noise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, kind of accent isn't, you know, it's not dialect. You know what I mean? So it's not about memory, and it's not really kind of technicalities. It's music. In a way, do you know what I mean? And so, I think. That's definitely something that was in my household from a young age. Was those kind of just messing around with voice,
and that creative sort of bubble that you were in, even if you didn't realise it back then. Like, that's obviously inspired, you know, your direction. And was there anything outside of that bubble that you could sort of, you know, hang your hat on that was an inspiration for where you went? Like, were you watching certain people? Was there?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I've never really kind of said it because I didn't want to say this person in fear of kind of not being considered a proper actor. But Jim Carrey, you know, Jim Carrey really was like, when I saw him, you know, do, you know, like Ace Ventura when I was a kid, and seeing this person just sort of, the mask, of course, the mask. When I saw him do these things when I was a kid, I was like, wow, you know, that person is just expressing themselves. Do you know what I mean? And didn't seem to be any limitations to what he wanted to get away with or do.
Free and authentic.
So free.
Yeah,
do you know
and
what I mean?
It just sort of works for him, didn't it?
Yeah.
If someone else done that, you think, oh, they're overacting. But for him, it just become.
But it was so authentic.
So authentic.
Yeah, totally.
He's always become a bit of a philosopher at the minute.
Yeah,
as well,
no,
you know?
totally. But then he went on to do much more serious roles. You know what I mean? But
that's exactly it. The perception is that because he's not serious, that you can't go into serious. But he does, and he does it very well.
Totally. Robin Williams as well is another perfect example of that. Like somebody who I was like, oh my God, when I was a kid.
both massive comedy actors, but also have. You know, they've obviously got their craft, and they can lean on their craft, or they can go wild with improvisation as well at the same time.
Exactly.
It was the film where he's
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, Good Will Hunting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of his best performances, I would say.
Love that film.
What a film.
Yeah.
Miss Doubtfire.
Mrs.
Yeah, but
Doubtfire.
Look at the difference there.
Yeah,
What an
totally.
actor.
Yeah,
what
totally.
quality.
One of my I was talking about my favourite films the other day, and one of my favourite films, top 10, is Truman Show.
Yeah,
Like, Jim Carrey, what a legend.
Totally.
Yeah, that's a blinder.
So
Like,
sad, but amazing.
Stuck with me so much. Like, at that time when I was young watching it, I thought, who knows? Maybe I'm in a Truman Show.
Yes,
Who
exactly,
knows?
exactly. What was the other ones he did? Insomniac with, I think it was Al Pacino, and then there was another one, 1 Hour Photo, that he did. Those were like more kind of serious roles.
Did you see the documentary Jim and Andy on Netflix?
I did. Yeah,
I fucking loved that.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, I've rewatched it like 2 or 3 times. Like, I loved it. He plays Andy Kaufman, who's a comedian, but he plays him in the movie. And you see him like getting into character, and it basically doesn't. I don't know if you do this or not, but it doesn't come out of character at all.
Really?
Like, so Offset, he's Andy Kaufman for the whole time.
Yeah.
And they can't control him. He's just it until he finishes. And he speaks about how he actually kind of started to lose himself.
Yeah,
He lost who Jim Carrey was.
Yeah.
And then he talks about how, we're free to create ourselves however we want. And then at the end he starts saying, who's to stop me saying I'm Jesus? You know what I mean? Who's to stop me? I can say I can be what I want for me.
Yeah, totally.
But it's really good.
Moment. Well, sorry, who was the guy that played the Joker?
Jack Nicholson or
Joaquin Phoenix.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger,
But didn't
yeah.
he go into a real dark place because he was so consumed with the character of the Joker?
Yeah.
I guess.
Do you have that, Alf?
Yeah.
Do you have that? Like when you're creating a character, do you lose yourself a little bit?
I mean, I guess I've always sort of tried to do it in a kind of healthy way, but I've never really gone sort of full 100% method with a character.
And method is like when you become the character and you don't step out of that character. Explain that.
Yeah, I mean, I've done certain things, where my character didn't really have a relationship with his father, and so then the character would meet the father or come across the father at some point in the story, and I said I don't want to meet the actor who's playing the father until we get to the scene. And the other actor, Patrick Malahide, really respected that, and I think who knows? Maybe it would have just been the same had I met him, or maybe it would have even been better. But that's how I felt. That's how I felt. How I wanted to approach it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And he totally respected that.
Yeah. And playing a character like Theon, is it to go through scenes where you're being completely humiliated and like having the ups and the downs? Does that affect you outside as well? Do you take it on board? Because I'd find it. Well, I feel like I would find it difficult to be humiliated in the scene, and then come away not feeling a bit like shame. You know?
No. Yeah. Totally. I mean, there's the kind of what's going on in terms of the content of the scene, and then also kind of how that makes you feel once you come out of the scene, and being able to kind of. Build up a resilience to that, or kind of having a thick skin to it. I was
exactly the same. I've seen some scenes, and the one that jumps to mind there. Do you remember in The Office where he's going to meet this bird? There's like a blind date, and then she turns up and he goes, "Oh, for fuck's sake." It's basically saying that she's ugly.
Yeah.
Like she's got to be this ugly bird.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah. Totally. No, I mean,
and how do you then walk away from it, not feeling like hang on a minute.
Yeah. No, it's it can be a tough one. But you just do
you have like methods that you use to kind of, I suppose, protect yourself, like protect Alfie from Theon in a way?
Oh God.
Or is that?
Still figuring them out.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Game of Thrones is going to be a part of my life for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So it's like Star Wars, you know. So it's
And did going into that, did you know it was going to be that big? Like, was there a feeling that this is going to be massive?
No, didn't really. You know, I knew the HBO kind of tag to it was going to get a lot of viewers and a lot of audience. At the time, I was watching The Wire, and so it was like kind of dreamlike stuff for me to even be considered to be in a show with HBO. I mean, this was before streaming or anything like that. It was like where you had to find the DVD box set of The Wire, and nowhere really, you know, stores didn't have them, so you had to kind of like borrow it off a friend or whatever. And so yeah. When that became a reality, did I know it was going to be as big as it was? Absolutely not. You know, it became a kind of became real to me in terms of how huge it was when I was I was on holiday in Thailand, and then sort of realizing that people kind of knew me from the show as far away as that.
Global, basically. It's gone global.
How did that all come about then, the process for Game of Thrones? Does your agent say, look, we've got this opportunity here to cast for this show, or do they pick you out, say, right, we want you to play this character?
Well, Game of Thrones came about, I think kind of everybody in the acting community in the UK at least was going up for it, and so every single person was auditioning for it. And yeah, you know, I've said this before, you know, I kind of went up for I went up for one of the parts, I didn't get that, and they said, we're interested in you for this other part, so I read for that part, and then the part I ended up getting, and then it got into like third or fourth audition, and then I met Dave and Dan, who are the writers and the creators and the showrunners of Game of Thrones, and then that's when I knew it was kind of getting serious, and so then they chose me for the role. You know, further on down the line, they said that one of the reasons they had chosen me for it was because I did a play called Equus with by Peter Shaffer, and did a with Simon Callow, and they said that kind of the reason, one of the reasons why, or one of the factors of why they offered me the part of Theon Greyjoy was because I'd done Alan Strang in Equus, and so it was. They
saw a range that I was obviously looking for.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah, it was crazy. Little did I know what a huge part of my life it was going to become at that point. I had no idea.
What was the other part that they knocked you back for?
It was a part called Viserys.
How did he end up in the show? So, because I've not seen it.
He ended up. He was. It's a good part actually. Harry Lloyd ended up playing the part, and he ended up getting molten lava poured all over his head. Molten gold.
You got the better part.
Well, I mean, you know, there was the other.
Getting your old boy chopped off ain't it's not the most desired, is it?
It was, you know, it was.
But I mean, as an actor, I suppose it's giving you.
That's what I mean. I'll probably never get
range.
the opportunity to play a part like that again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a learning experience without a shadow of a doubt.
Is it your favourite? Like I've named them there, 26 films, 14 TV shows. Was it your favourite to film and be a part of, or is there something else there that really stands out?
I did a show called Rogue Heroes that was great.
Yeah, I loved that.
Filming that.
Loved it. Yeah.
That was really, really fun filming that.
Where you played the SAS guy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The original. Have you seen it?
No.
It's the original.
You haven't watched them. I haven't watched my work.
I don't watch much TV. I don't watch sport.
It's the original. What do you call it? Like the section that split off from the military and made their own.
Yeah, they kind of pioneered desert warfare,
and then they became the SAS. It's really good.
And it was playing a character that I'd never played, this kind of sort of disciplinarian, straight down the line kind of guy. And even though he was a kind of pioneer in what he did and his methods weren't necessarily trusted at the time, he was respected, but maybe wasn't necessarily that liked by his soldiers. But then you
Jack
look at the
O'Connell's
kind of,
character is pretty similar as well in a way. He's like he's an absolute lunatic, isn't he?
yeah, well, that's what I mean. All those guys were playing these kind of drunkard. I mean, my character was tortured as well in his own kind of way, but more to do with his kind of Puritan upbringing, and the others hadn't had that.
Like he didn't fit in basically in a way.
I mean, they're all that's what was kind of great about Rogue Heroes. It was all these characters, all these men that were, not in war times. They might have been in jail or being slung out of pubs, but then in war times
reprobates
they're
in a way
as heroes. Do you know what I mean? So that was pretty amazing opportunity to be able to portray a character like that, without a doubt.
So obviously you're aware of how massive this program is, and then all of a sudden it comes to an end. Is there a massive anticlimax? And again, I'm going back and I'm comparing this to boxing, because you go through that long process of having the fight announced, the training camp, the fight itself, where if you're victorious, your arms raising, there's this great buzz for a few days after, and then there's this stillness, this flat kind of nothing. And I think that's where a lot of ex-sportsmen and women struggle a little bit because of that anticlimax.
Struggle a lot, don't they? So it's a
kind of
your identity is kind of
your identity a bit. And is that something similar that after that this great series comes to an end? Was you deflated? Was you flat afterwards?
Without a doubt, I did feel a bit flat, and it was a huge part of my life for such a long time. The routine of it, being able to kind of relax for part of the year, even though as the years went on with Thrones, we weren't really allowed to go and do other work, and was more than happy to abide by that, because I was so grateful and lucky to be a part of this cultural phenomenon. Do you know what I mean?
But at the same time, it's a confinement to your life. You're not free. You got to do what you're told.
Yeah,
so
totally.
That's got to be a struggle at the same time.
Totally. Yeah. And then to be able to have that freedom, you got to make that decision. Do I want to take a little break for a while, or do I want to kind of just go straight into work? And that was my sort of perspective on it. Was I've got to just straight back in, just keep on working.
Another one. Sorry, I always step back because I always think about something. But say a series. How many episodes in a series of Game of Thrones?
I think it was 10.
10 episodes in a series. So how long does that take to film? And so what's the process there, timing wise?
We would start in June, or get the scripts in June, towards the end of June.
So you get the scripts in June.
Yeah.
You start filming in July.
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, some of the people would, but I would usually kind of be like sort of August, September vibes.
So what are you doing? Are you just sort of studying the script, learning? Is there any practice that goes on?
Yeah, I mean, it always changes. My kind of approach to it. Do you know what I mean? It's like I should have more kind of rules as to how I do approach it. But with Thrones, it was it wasn't from the beginning. I can't. We wouldn't get the scripts all in one, and then towards the end, we would get all of the scripts. Right. And so, just sort of reading over it. But I mean,
in Belfast, would you be in Belfast from June?
No. I'd be in London, and then I'd kind of fly over. That's what was great about it. It was like it was like going on a sort of. It was just great. It was just great going to hang out with the people and then meeting new people who'd been cast, and through reading the books, I kind of imagined sort of characters of how they looked, and then seeing the people that were cast, and then you're kind of like, oh, wow, that's not what I saw, but that's super interesting. So, in terms of sort of rereading the scripts and going over all the material, sometimes you can do that too much. I think nowadays I do like to sort of reread it over and over again, whereas I think back then I liked to sort of leave it a little bit more to chance, and to just have a little bit more mystery about it in my head and my outlook on it. And but nowadays, I like to really reread and look at things in much finer detail.
In like obviously looking at your career like now, it's easy for us to. It's a bit like looking at Darren. He's won a world title. You can look back at a career, and you're at the top of your game. and with more growth to go, it's easy to look at it and go, there's it's a success, but people don't see the decades that have gone into where you've got to. So it's easy for people to say, I want to be an actor. I get people turn up here and say, I want to turn pro. And like, how many fights you had? Oh, I haven't had any yet. I've had a few street fights. Like, come on, mate. Like, it's like, you've got to put things into reality. And I'm interested in what made you keep chipping away, keep digging into, like, from rejections to of whatever sort of knockdown you would have had along the way, you know, doing TV programs and stuff, and chipping away until you end up getting the job that you've been fighting towards. Yeah. How did you keep? What were you driving from? So when you had those hard days, what was it that kept you going? Because people probably don't see you as someone who's gone through that, because they just see you at the height. Of course. You know, they don't think about you've been doing it, like we was chatting about, the first role was when you were 2. Yeah. That's what IMDb says. Yeah. But, you know, from the age of 10, 11, 12, you're actually acting, and you've been doing it since then, you know. Yeah. And like Darren and me in boxing, you've been doing it since day dot. And it's not luck. It's hard work, hard graft. That's the way I see it. Yeah. What was it you were sort of pulling from?
I mean, you know, you just have to sort of, get used to the rejection of it, but then also enjoy the auditioning process. And then if you don't enjoy that, you've just got to find the fun in it. But I mean, what was kind of driving me on to sort of carry on doing it?
I mean, can you be goal driven in acting? Because for me as a boxer, it was always winning the next fight, winning the next title, you know, climbing the ladder to eventually achieving my goal of being a world champion. Is there a similar process? Is there anything in your mind or your sort of personality where you think, that's where I want to be, that's what I want to get to, I'm striving towards that? Because that makes life easier, I think. You know, when you've got a goal and you're searching for that goal.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, survival, you know, to just be able to just kind of...
Pay the bills.
Yeah, you know what I mean? To just sort of be able to do other things that you want to do in your life, without a doubt.
But when those days come where, you know, you've auditioned for a job, and you learned how to sort of not hang your hat on it, but on those early times where you'd audition for a job and you think, I think I'm going to get this, and then all of a sudden they pick someone else, because, you know, it's going to have happened along the way. How did you dig in? Like, where do you think you get that sort of strength to be able to dig in and?
I just, you know.
Or is it answerable?
No, it is answerable. You know, I think you have to sort of be able to know that you aren't doing it for other people. You know, you are doing it for yourself. And even though that sounds very selfish and really entitled, I think, you know, but then, like I was saying earlier, you know, my whole process around acting always kind of changes.
I 100% get that. What you've just said there, that really resonates with me. I think to really step to that next level, you have to be doing it for yourself. Yeah. You know, when it gets hard, when it does get demoralising, where you might be getting a knockback, you might suffer a defeat or 2 or 3. If you don't want to do it for yourself, you won't edge forward. You won't progress. Yeah. That resonated for me, what you said there.
Totally. It's like, and then to kind of think that you get to a place where you do think that you are kind of doing it for other people, but then that can be a healthy thing. Do you know what I mean? Rather than thinking that it's all about people, the you know, adulation of others. It's actually always going to be a collaborative process, and I think that's one of the things probably that drove me forward, is just being able to work with great people, and then to be able to. I know it sounds like a soundbite, but to yeah, just form kind of sincere relationships with people along
Yeah.
the way, you know.
You know, when you say doing it for other people, sorry, right? The reason why that resonated for me is because I wanted to box for my dad, though he never pushed me into it. Was that ever a case with you where your dad had acted that you was perhaps doing it for your dad early on?
Your mum's a producer as well,
Yeah,
so she's in the
yeah.
world.
And your
Yeah.
mum, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Even subconsciously, maybe.
Yeah, probably. You know, I yeah, for sure. You know, but then you get to a point with it where that ain't gonna serve you very well. Do you know what I mean? If you kind of
Well, that's it. I mean, that's you saying you learned to do it for yourself, and that weren't gonna, you know, you couldn't drive forward unless you realised that. I couldn't do that because I think I was doing it for outside love, not inside love. You know, I was doing it to receive, and when I realised that I wasn't going to receive what I was trying to receive,
yeah.
you know, then the wheels start to fall off. It's
Yeah,
like,
totally. Yeah.
why am I bothering
Yeah.
when I'm not going to get there?
It's funny with boxers that, I mean, you guys tell me obviously, but every time I kind of see whatever, you look at kind of Ricky Hatton with his son and his son going into boxing, and just with a lot, I think Costa Tszou's son's
Yeah. He's
boxing
doing really
now.
well,
Yeah,
Tim
he's doing
Tszou,
all right.
yeah.
Yeah, Tim Tszou. All the fathers will say, I don't want him to go into boxing. But then a lot of them do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, and I did have that conversation with my dad definitely when I was a kid, and that's when he told me. He was just like, look, 95% of it is about rejection, the other 5% is the fun part.
Yeah, very good.
So,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean that's very good advice, isn't it? Like,
totally.
I can imagine that, you know, it's only 5% glory, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the same as boxing, you know what I mean? It's the same thing. No one like, it's the old, you know, like you said, like a soundbite, but it's the old thing. Like, no one sees you running at 5 a.m. No one thinks about that. They see you under the lights holding the belt up, and they think, but.
And it's a numbers game as well. You see the champions, you see the ones with their arm raised. What about the other thousands of millions that haven't made it? That have persevered.
And that's what I'm saying, Alf. Like, there's something about you, even if you're reluctant to sort of accept it and admit it. There's something about you that has been able to drive past those barriers, those walls that others would have stopped at. And you're still driving. You're still going. Do you know what I mean? To put it in boxing terms, sorry to do it, but that's all I ever do, is like, you won that title with Game of Thrones, you won that title, but as soon as that was over, you didn't go, I can put my feet up now, smoke a cigar. You went, next. What's the next title? What's the next? And I wonder where that ends. Do you know what I mean? And does it end? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's more about just learning. You know, it's more just about learning about yourself and about, you know, I'm being contradictory because I was kind of saying that my approach and sort of craft to it is constantly changing, but it's just it's so personal, acting, you know? So it's just sometimes, you know, even going through this process, I don't want to talk about it a lot, and it's not because, but you know what I mean? No, but do you know what I mean? It's not because.
No, thank you for being here.
No,
because
man,
I know you don't do this.
No,
I know you don't do this.
I find it fascinating. I really do. Listening to you, the similarities, but the process as well, the nuts and bolts of acting that you just don't hear of.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what goes on. I really do find it fascinating.
Well, Cillian Murphy said that recently, didn't he? He's just like, acting is just like sex. You just don't talk about it. Do you know what I mean?
Unless you're a show off.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I feel like now. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, you know. So it's like, I just, you know, I do just kind of want to sometimes just be comfortable in the chaos of that. Do you know what I mean? In terms of the kind of uncertainty of it. And then, but then there is a kind of definitely a healthy kind of approach to it when you can just compartmentalize those things well, you know, and that's what we all learn in life, you know, but with acting, it's I've been doing it for so long, since I was a kid, and even just people watching, you know, all the time, just not, you know. Makes me sound like some kind of weird, creepy
No, that's
voyeur,
my favourite
but you know what
pastime,
I
I
mean?
think.
Yeah, exactly. But I've always done that. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I've always just sort of, not
But
trying to figure people out. but-
Does for you not an end goal, but is there a big goal for you as an actor? You sit here now. You've got, you know.
Is there a world title?
Yeah,
Is there a world title for you?
is there a world title for you? Is there something that you're aiming towards, striving towards, or desperate to have?
I wouldn't say no to an Oscar.
Right, fair enough.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
But is that true? You'd love to
No, I mean,
do a piece of work that gets nominated and actually wins an Oscar?
I would love to be a part of something that was, you know, it just sounds like I'm going into autopilot mode here, but whether it's kind of creating it from my perspective, something that would help people. Do you know what I mean? And that, you know, you can kind of sort of think that that's going to be some kind of mental health based thing, or
as in a film or a series of some sort that encapsulates that and helps people in a way.
Yeah.
Do you have something that you
something that's of service to people? Do you know what I mean?
Do you have something that has provided that for you, like a film that you go that marked me, or that series marked me, and it stuck with me? I certainly have.
I have.
Yeah.
What?
I watched The Tree of Life by Terrence Malick. That changed me. I can't even explain it, but I watched that film, and it articulated something that was in me, and I couldn't articulate, and it helped me to be able to articulate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I saw it, and I was like, "This guy's a genius. He's been able to create something that was in me that I couldn't get out."
Yeah.
You know.
Mine's Dumb and Dumber.
Is he really?
Funny enough, it is Good Will Hunting because
Right,
of
yeah.
you know that
Yeah, when I was a kid, actually,
breaking away from what you used to and striving and searching for your goals, and he does that. The whole therapy session, something I went through, and yeah, that you know that hits home a little bit for me.
Yeah. And you, Alf?
With Bruce.
Yeah, exactly that, mate. Yeah, exactly.
I can't really pick out one specific thing that has kind of had a real effect on me. Sorry to give you such a boring nothing answer.
You've definitely avoided that fucking question.
I mean, I guess I'm always sort of kind of searching for some kind of meaning or kind of revelatory kind of moment in you know, I used to really not watch that much. I definitely went through a period where I didn't want things to kind of affect my approach to acting, or like
taint you,
do you know what I mean? And I didn't want things to let me down, you know, in terms of sort of building up an expectation for something and then watching it and going, you know, I know it sounds incredibly selfish and self-indulgent, but I'm just kind of precious around my kind of my approach to acting, and I don't want anything to kind of taint that. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Well, yeah.
I can be super private about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to not answer your question in that, in terms of is there anything that's, you know, when I was a kid, you know, I know this is a fucking basic Bob answer, but it's you know, I loved Shawshank Redemption when I was a kid. I watched that film over and over again.
What was it about that though? What was it about that? Because I never connected to it.
Really?
No, my missus says it's one of hers, and I always say, and she goes, "Oh, yeah, you know, you always say no," but it just didn't connect with me.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's my worst nightmare. That's why I was drawn to it. You know, he's living out my worst nightmare, and I like being you know, not having your freedom, stuck in those, you know, those walls.
Yeah, got so many things, but it's not just the whole film that affects you. It can be like just a moment in it, really, can't it?
Yeah,
and it can be a moment in it, and even like sometimes I can't quite understand why I'm so captivated by watching this particular film or program, like the assassination of Jesse James. I've rewatched that 4 times. Why? I don't really know why. But
do you watch much fiction? Was
Not really.
does it? Right. Okay.
Real.
Yeah.
I like something to be relatable to.
I'm pretty similar.
Yeah, but there's real in everything, isn't there? Really, even if it's fantasy, it's like you can take something from it for you.
Yeah. Then here's a question for you. You got an unlimited budget, right? And you can pick your ultimate scenario, so which will lead to, I'm guessing, a film that is going to be this one that wins an Oscar, hopefully. What character would you play? What kind of film would it be? What director would you like to direct?
And who you cast
and
alongside?
what kind of character are you playing?
I don't know.
Roughly. It's your ultimate. This is like, this is your ultimate.
I mean, I've always... I'm a big football fan, and I don't think, I like the idea of somebody's sort of vulnerabilities being shown as a strength. And I've always thought, even though in our kind of, in America they don't really know too much about this guy, but in here we know who Paul Gascoigne is.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I think his story,
another genius.
Yeah, his story in terms of sort of, if he were to kind of sort of come back into the world of football in a kind of in a good way. Imagine if he came back and kind of managed England and won the World Cup and kind of conquered his kind of demons in that sense. But
playing Gaza.
Yeah, well, I can do
what you want.
Geordie accent. Yes, you know what I mean.
You can do what you want. You've got an unlimited budget. You
fucking
do
right,
what you
yes. Fucking way, man. No, I can't fucking say that. But no, I guess there is a kind of thread in that also of just that kind of boyish sort of masculinity that's so criminalized nowadays. And actually, there's just there is a real. There's an aspect to that is, I think, required of society. Do you know what I mean? And required of whatever kind of relationships that you're trying to bond with it be your significant other or your kind of your peers. It's that's something that should be championed and can be a positive. Do you know what I mean? Rather than it being scorned and being or kind of frowned upon. I think there is a real way to sort of make that positive, and maybe that story is one way of doing it. I have an idea for something else that actually happened to me during COVID, but I don't really want to sort of talk about it too much. But it's there is something to do with it. I went and visited a friend of mine whose wife was dying at the time, and we were all sort of doing this. It's not that bad, but how do I can't put this without saying what we were actually doing.
You're being boisterous.
We were being boisterous, in a very kind of, but in a good way. But I went and visited his house. His wife was dying, and she kind of had the oxygen tank in the corner, and he went in, and me and my friend waited outside, and I could hear through the door that he was watching the cricket with his wife, and I could hear him kind of like enjoying that and kind of and she was probably there being slightly lifted, the kind of the household was being lifted by him allowing himself to do that, and
by this kind of male energy.
Do you know what I mean? And that's
I think I agree with you, like like testosterone is very necessary.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Testosterone is very necessary, and I feel like there's a sort of shame attached to it,
without a doubt.
Definitely. And just as well as estrogen is.
There's a healthy balance to it, though. Isn't there? Do you know what I mean?
One can't be without the other.
Yeah.
Like they both have their roles in society, and I get what you're saying. Like that kind of boisterous that comes with having testosterone running through your veins. It is so obviously it's making sure that is a healthy way of expressing it. But it's I I know what you're saying. Like being boisterous or mischievous or masculine there's a shame attached to it.
Yeah,
at the
without a
moment.
doubt, definitely.
And I think that it's important for people to talk about that, and also, like you say, make movies, make series where it allows people to see it in the light that we wish it would be.
Yeah.
Kind of instead of, and Gaz is a great example
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he
yeah.
was very much run by those
Yeah.
emotions and hormones and stuff.
Totally.
He was a great example of it, and
Totally.
and probably suffered because of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
wasn't a healthy balance. But
That's what I mean, being able to kind of find that kind of healthy balance.
You've only got to say one thing wrong about being masculine, and you get shot down. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, we should be able to be open and honest about these things, and that's how we progress as a society.
Yeah.
Instead of being sort of, muted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any growth in being muted.
No.
Just moving on, because I'm feeling awkward about being masculine. Do you feel proud of what you've achieved? Are you proud of yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without a doubt. I just want to keep on trying to, just do good work with
Yeah.
good people. And in terms of, the kind of non-work aspect of my life and things that I'm proud of, I definitely being a father,
Yeah.
is one,
of course.
and kind of being able to watch my daughter grow up, and that's one thing, definitely, without a doubt. But yeah, I feel immensely proud of, but I don't want to rest on any kind of laurels to do with my work, and I do just want to keep on
Moving forward.
Yeah,
sort of
moving
thing.
forward.
Yeah. I mean, that's a typical trait of someone that's a high achiever, isn't it? Like that is always looking for the next goal, next win.
Yeah.
Whether you look at it like that or not. Like
But that is definitely it. I think when you become content in whatever you do, you probably won't push yourself as hard.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you've kind of you've found that contentment.
Yeah.
Whereas before, when you're striving to find that and to achieve these goals, you give it that extra mile, you give it that extra percent.
Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
me when I won the world title. Bang! I remember completely. My life changed overnight. So,
Switching
wow,
off.
It
Yeah.
was just a big, not deep breath, the opposite.
Monkey off
Exhale,
your back.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
thank fuck for that, I've done it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you feel like if you got to an Oscar or something like that, do you feel like that may scratch that itch or
No, definitely not.
no?
No, definitely not. I mean, it's not something that's going to make me any kind of award or any kind of recognition from whatever kind of
Body,
governing body or whatever
Yeah.
that kind of says yes, you are enough.
Yeah.
It's never going
Yeah,
to
yeah.
feel like enough. Do you know what I mean? So it's it's all material.
That's what I
stuff,
feel
you know
like
what I
we're
mean?
sort of fighting for in a way. It's like we're
Yeah.
fighting to realise that we're good enough,
Yeah,
and if we realise we are good enough,
exactly.
then we
Yeah.
stop driving, stop pushing, because you don't need to achieve it. Why do you need to achieve it if you've realised you're good enough?
Yeah.
Why would you bother?
Yeah, totally. And then
Like
it's
that's the contradiction in me. I work so hard, which must mean that I don't think that I'm good enough.
yeah, that's kind of that line of like, who are you doing it for? Are you doing it
Mm.
for yourself or are you doing it for other people? And then once you kind of can find a healthy approach in doing it for other people, but doing it in a way that is not damaging to
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
and doing that in a positive way. Again, look, I can't articulate it that well because I think it's just age, It's just, you just go through life and you kind of, you stop thinking about yourself so much, especially when you have
Especially
kids.
when
It's
you
like,
become
when you're a
a
father,
dad or a mum,
it's
yeah.
like, you stop thinking about things in that kind of linear way, and you're more you think in another linear way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think it's just about not removing that ego, but just finding a healthy approach to it. You know.
Yeah. What would in your field, what would a loss look like? You know, like we can easily sort of grasp that because your hand don't go up at the end of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But is there such thing as like a loss or a failure that you can sort of?
I mean, just knowing that you maybe perhaps didn't 100% apply yourself, and that you were just you were kind of doing it for the material gains, you know? Or you're doing it for fame, or you're doing it for.
But are you aware of that? Like, are you aware when that happens, when that inauthenticity happens, and you're doing it for?
I don't know.
Just a feeling, I suppose.
Yeah, you know, it's it's just about. It's such a hard question.
Yeah,
to answer,
yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Do you have like fears that you can like? Do you have a fear within your industry, like a fear as an actor and fear in life? Do you have fear? Is there something you can go like? That's what I'm driving hard because I definitely don't want that to happen.
Yeah, of course. There's definitely a fear attached to everything.
Yeah.
And if you don't admit that you're kind of scared of things not going the way that you wanted them to go, but it's, you know, not trying to kind of have, you know, sort of set goals, because then you will just drive yourself crazy trying to kind of achieve those. But then also, I don't know. Sorry, I've gone a bit blank on this one.
Yeah. Well, like I think the end result of any fear. This is just my opinion. And the end result of any fear for you inside yourself is death. I think that's why you're scared. It's because you believe if that happens, death is at the end of that.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's like let's say you were to try to be funny, and then it falls flat. Then all of a sudden you're ostracized. No, that feeling of shame or humiliation in that moment is there. There's a fear attached to it because you become ostracized from the people around you. And if you were ostracized in the wild, you become vulnerable and you probably die.
Yeah.
I think there's an instinct in us that makes our fears there because...
Again, but, you know, in the same way, even if, you know, I'm kind of obviously... Death can sort of be perceived in so many kind of different ways. The physicality of obviously just being dead, but
literal or metaphorically,
exactly. But then even if you do become some kind of a leader, and I guess I'm kind of leading into kind of imposter syndrome or whatever, you're still ostracized. Yeah, do you know what I mean? You're still
but you've ostracized, but you have a tribe. You know, you are.
But it's whether you want that or not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's if that's put upon you. Do you know what I mean? If that's just sort of placed upon you and that title is kind of given to you, then that is, you know, just as lonely as kind of not succeeding, I guess, in a way.
What do you feel that way? Do you feel like that, you know, being a celebrity, that you're seen as sort of someone to lead the way in a way, like you have a responsibility to behave a certain way because people are going to see you and act in the same way as you do, or do you see it that way?
Yeah. It's just sort of finding that, being able to toe that line healthily and not become... Oh, I don't know. I'm getting too deep.
Yeah.
Brian has a knack of
Me
getting
too.
people there.
Yeah, no, me too. Me too.
Yeah, me and Alfie
mean, like,
normally have
we go
good
deep.
conversation,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
I understand
exactly,
we're
yeah.
on mic, we're on camera, so
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it's-
exactly.
it's a little
exactly,
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these are the things I'm interested in. I'm fascinated by people's, like, you know, what's in them, or where's that fire come from? I talk about Tree of Life. I was talking about Tree of Life earlier, but Terrence Malick made another film called The Thin Red Line.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the narration in the film is like talking about who lit this flame in us, like where's it come from, what is love, what you know, what's it all about?
Yeah.
And I'm so fascinated by that, and you know, and I think people that have achieved highly in whatever field it is, they've got a story to tell that can inspire, because there's a billion people behind them looking at them.
It runs deeper than just talent.
Yeah, of course, yeah, and that's, I think, the reason you're here for me is, like, people could look at you and go, oh, you know, he's lucky, he's got talent, or he's lucky, he looks a certain way, you know, he's lucky, his dad was an actor, so he could learn from him. But really, like, you've got ingredients within you that have made you become what you've become.
Let me play devil's advocate on that. Could it not just be money? Do you think
I don't believe so.
Do you think there's people out there that have succeeded in their field just for financial gains?
I don't believe so.
I would probably tend to agree with you.
I think they may attach money to something, so it is about money, but that money means something else. You know, it might mean like material things might mean that they are valuable. And if they aren't valuable, then they're not worth knowing.
Yeah, I guess it's all your circumstances as well. If you would have gone back, I don't know, when you first started out, you would pick I'm assuming you would have picked the film that offered more money as opposed to the role that you would have wanted early on. Whereas
depends.
now you could be a bit more selective, I'm guessing.
I mean, I wish I would have been in that kind of position at some point in my career early on, definitely, without a doubt. I just I took, you know, I guess creatively, I was lucky enough to sort of have parts that came to me or that I auditioned for, you know. That's the thing. You can get into an audition room because of kind of who you know, without a doubt. But then you've got to be able to appeal to the director's vision of what he sees for that character, and money doesn't get you that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, and so I think in some sort of fields of work, without a doubt, money is going to help you succeed. But sadly, yeah, there's probably so many different kind of professions and artists out there that aren't recognized for being so talented, and they just haven't been given that opportunity because they weren't in the right place at the right time.
Luck,
do you know what I
well,
mean?
luck
Yeah.
massive.
And they're maybe not as commercial. They're not. You know, they're not as sort of marketable.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so
totally.
they don't conform to what is marketable.
Totally.
Just lightening the mood a little bit, because we've been talking about fear and failure. Let's talk about sport a little bit, because we connected over sport, boxing, and I know that you're very passionate about football.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about sport that sort of lights you up? You know, what is it about that captivates you?
Just being able to express yourself freely, and also just being an outlet. You know, I think whether you're playing it or whether you're or just a spectator, that's what it is essentially. It's an outlet. You know, you go down there to
express
yourself, and to be able to, whether it's, you know, in a kind of angry way or a positive way. It's and you know, any kind of, whether you're in a boxing ring or on a football field or any kind of sort of sports arena, it's a theatre. Do you know what I mean? So there is obviously the aspect of performance that draws me to that, without a doubt. And without a doubt, you know, I've definitely realised in playing in football tournaments when I was a kid that I have you know, gained from there being an audience there, whereas if there wasn't an audience there, then maybe I didn't want to sort of play up to that as much.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it sort of
I mean-
it sort of elevates you a bit
Yeah,
if you're being
totally.
observed.
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of,
totally, without a doubt.
Your
yeah.
mob's not doing bad, are they?
They're doing good. Yeah, we're doing all right.
Arsenal
Yeah,
fan,
yeah,
aren't
yeah. Yeah, I'm going to the
How's
City
that,
game.
by the way? How's that work? Because we've kind of we support the wrong teams, really.
Who
I'm a
you-
Chelsea
are you
fan,
a Chelsea fan?
but from Barnet,
Right,
which
yeah.
is North London, and you were born in
I
Hammersmith.
was born in Hammersmith, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I lived in Islington when I was a kid.
Oh, there you go.
I was, admittedly, I was a Man United fan when I was a kid.
Oh, were you?
I was a Glory supporter, yeah.
Oh,
and
really?
Then, yeah, and then I started supporting Arsenal when moved into Islington, and then somebody said to me, "Why don't you support your local team?" And so I did, and a lot of my friends supported Arsenal at the time. And then weirdly, like my closest friend, he then started supporting Man United. So we sort of did a
Oh, you
switch.
switched.
Yeah,
Switched shirts.
yeah. It was weird. And so yeah, I'd say it was round about sort of Bruce Rioch, David Platt days that I started supporting Arsenal. Then we signed Bergkamp, and then yeah, just
Henry shortly followed. The rest is history.
Totally, yeah.
And from a boxing point of view, like I've been to the fights with you, and like why has boxing sort of been there in the background for you as well as a sport you're captivated by?
Yeah, boxing. I guess my stepfather is like hugely into boxing.
Right.
Knows a lot more about it than I do. So that was. I've always been into boxing though. Ever since I was a kid, like I'd say the first boxer that I was really kind of, wow, I want to watch him was Nassim.
Yeah.
James
Really?
Nassim, yeah, without a doubt.
Such an
'cause
entertainer,
the way-
wasn't he?
exactly.
Yeah.
Just the way that he did
Yeah.
it. Do you know what I mean? And the way he fought as well, just like so relaxed.
You either
and,
loved him or hated him, but you
totally,
still watched him, didn't you?
totally. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And then after that, Ricky Hatton, and then I kind of didn't follow it as much. And then in the last sort of 3, 4, 5 years, I was lucky enough to be able to go to Vegas and watch a fight on Fight Night. And I've never really been a fan of Vegas as a place.
fight was
but then, that was Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it was the third one. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think it was the third one.
The
yeah.
beat down.
Yeah.
But then again, he got dropped, didn't he?
Yeah.
Fury again.
Yeah,
so-
yeah. In that, in this, I can't remember. It was the first or the second one. Yeah, but yeah, to be able to be in Vegas on Fight Night and then that walk in, when he was just sitting on the throne, so like crazy, just coming in. It's just like
that was surreal.
incredible.
I mean, it was Nazim-esque, wasn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Come out on the flying
without a
carpet
doubt.
and stuff.
Yeah.
That, he was the first fight I remember really going to town with the ring walks.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
think of anyone
Yeah.
before then.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah,
that-
totally.
I mean, you had Mike Tyson in a different way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sort of
Yeah.
shirt off, some sort of mad noise playing in the background.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that is the personality now that boxing misses the most. We've had a lot of showmen.
The real baddest man on the planet,
Just
basically.
that frightening.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I always say this, we're all kind of nutters, really. We're
Boxers
drawn
are, yeah.
to, well, and people as a whole. You go back to the Roman days. People sat in the Colosseum. They want to see blood. They want to see. They want to.
There's a
be-
fascination with
yeah,
that.
there's a fascination, and I think that scaremongery, that being frightened by somebody, whether it be a gladiator or a Spartan or whatever, really captures your imagination. I feel if
horror
a real
films, like a horror
genuine, a real genuine Mike Tyson was to come along again, I think you'd been and could back it up in the ring. There's your superstar, your next superstar.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to say Ngannou was like the baddest man on the planet, but he's too nice, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's not like Mike Tyson was like, I mean, I don't know if he'd be allowed on TV nowadays. But on reflection, like talking about your career, on reflection, if you were to look back at a younger you, like when you're starting out, what advice would you give a younger you? What would you say to a younger you? Like how would you deal with them?
I would say just, relationships are everything. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a kind of a professional sense. I just mean that on a kind of spiritual level. Do you know what I mean? And just to be able to, just be nice to people on your way up, because they'll be nice to you on your way down. I'd say, is advice that I would probably give to myself, and not try and be the biggest in the room. You know, you can just watch the show rather than be a part of the show. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you wouldn't change much.
No, I wouldn't. I was speaking to drop a name, somebody about that recently, and Tony Adams said that exact thing. You know, he was just like, don't, you know, just be grateful for the way things happened. Do you know what I mean?
Embrace the journey.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Yeah,
Totally.
The hardest things I've ever been through, I look back and I think, God, I wouldn't have learned the things I learned. I wouldn't be me if you know you'd still be playing out the same old tricks. Do you know what I mean? If you hadn't learned from them.
Yeah, exactly. You can call them mistakes, or you can call them lessons.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, he was talking about somebody he knew who was, you know, obviously we're going. But yeah, he was talking about somebody that had been, you know, had their legs amputated because they were in the 7/7 July bombings, and you know, speaking to somebody that had really suffered from something as life-changing as that, and then hearing them go, I still wouldn't want that to change. You know, it's kind of like, fuck. Do you know what I mean?
I watched
it makes me emotional even kind of talking about it. You know, it's like,
I watched a documentary called Human on it's on YouTube, and I remember, like, you don't know who you're listening to because you can only see it from the shoulders. They're talking heads basically, black backdrop. You don't know where they are, what their background is. You're just listening to them. And there was one guy on that like, you know, you find out from what he says that he's without legs, and he's saying, like, I'm grateful that happened to me because I appreciate life so much more now because of it. You know, and it's just embrace the journey, embrace the things that you go through. You know, and that does give you strength when you think about
as well. Whinge about the stupidest thing.
So difficult though, isn't it?
Totally.
You get dragged into moaning about pathetic things. You know what I mean? Like my printer weren't working this morning, and there's me sweating about it. Like, what does it matter? Like, I can get it printed somewhere else, or don't have it printed. It don't really matter.
Health is wealth.
Totally.
And like, do you have like? I'd be uncomfortable being asked this, but legacy. Like, is there anything you want to mark the world with? Like, I suppose you've answered it in a way. It's like a project that inspires people from a kind of mental health perspective. Is that something? Is that like a true notion that you're trying to make happen?
I mean, I truly kind of believe, or my perspective on it at this point in my life is the only way that you can really kind of make a difference to that, or make a difference to somebody's life through, I guess, your own kind of journey without it seeming opportunistic or kind of try hard, is on a one-to-one basis, you know? And I mean, that just comes through being comfortable in conversations with people about that, and then not trying to sort of rush to social media to go like, look at me, you know, look what I'm doing. I want to change your life too.
Look at the insights I've had.
Exactly.
Like, it's through a screen. It doesn't penetrate.
Totally. So I think just being able to talk freely about that with another person I find that incredibly difficult. Do you know what I mean? I find that incredibly hard. Just reaching out to people and just sort of not even talking about something professional, how your day is going. Do you know what I mean? And just sort of something as innocent.
Well, you find it hard to just have an open conversation.
Yeah, sometimes definitely. You know, and just being able to achieve the simplest things can be pretty difficult, but then if we're just open about that with each other,
connection's so important.
Of course,
connection's so important. And you know, I've spent a lot of my life sort of doing my very best to kind of isolate myself and not connect. I think that comes from like a fear. You know, if the more you connect, the more possibility there is that you get hurt.
Exactly, and then somebody's actually going to get to know the real you. Do you know what I mean? So that's can be terrifying, but it needn't. You know, it needn't be. But, you know,
I guess it doesn't have to be the last question, but it feeds into this nicely. What is it all about? What are we fighting for? This is called Why Fight. What is it all about for you? Why do you fight? And what do you fight for?
Um,
We've had some long answers. We've had some short answers.
Yeah.
They've all been different. I'm intrigued to hear yours.
Why bother? Why fight?
you know, because if you don't, I guess it's. I don't really know without trying to sound too fucking profound about it, but
Be profound, Alf. Come on, you're a profound guy.
If we don't, you know, it's what we're here for otherwise. Do you know what I mean? If we just sort of kind of give up and don't and you know, coming from me, it might be seen as something to do with my career in saying that, but I just think, yeah, you just have to keep on making yourself uncomfortable, and if that's what makes you uncomfortable, sort of putting yourself out there and being vulnerable and keep on fighting, then inevitably you're going to grow spiritually. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I've said that. Like,
Yeah.
where courage is needed is where growth is.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't take on those challenges that are gonna push your boundaries,
yeah,
then you're gonna be the same person in 30 years' time.
exactly. Yeah.
So you got to keep pushing the limits.
yeah,
Whatever those limits are, because everyone's limits are different, aren't they?
yeah.
Like you said, even sometimes just reaching out to someone who, you know, you don't know and saying like,
Exactly.
what's your name? How
Yeah,
you
yeah,
doing?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like
Totally.
maybe that's terrifying for you.
Yeah.
But maybe it's getting in the ring and having a fight. Do you know what I mean? But do you know what I mean? The contrast is there.
Yeah.
I agree with what you said. It's,
I wish I could sort of, you know, put it in a better way, but I just sometimes, like you said, just when the cameras are around,
Yeah.
But it's
feel a
hard.
little
I
bit
do
like-
feel it's a very hard question.
and I
to
like.
articulate.
I think I get what you've said, but I'm also I wrestle with it because I want to be able to just be and appreciate what is life. You know, just live.
Yeah.
But I feel like I need to attach some sort of achievement to that in order to feel like I've got purpose.
Yeah.
Like, why? I've said this to you before. That why not just tend the flowers in the garden? That should be enough.
Yeah.
I'm good enough. It should be enough, but it's just not.
Yeah.
You know, and you know,
That's another thing that really resonates with me as well.
yeah,
Bruce, I've said this before on the pod, that bobbing boat.
Bruce, your therapist.
Yeah, I've just been bobbing up and down, sort of not knowing where to go, what to do, and I didn't like it. I need to be moving forward, you know, and why though? Why?
Yeah.
Why can't I be content here now?
Yeah,
And
like
yeah.
I tried to say it to my son, you know, like I remember there was a stage when he was a bit young, he's only 5, but when he was like 3, he's like, it's raining. And I'd try and say like, I never wish the rain away. The rain feeds the plants and so does the sun. They're all just as important as each other. But yet when there's a rainy day, you feel gloomy. You feel like you want to curl up and not go outside, like, and you feel a bit flat because you can't. And when the sun shines, you feel better. Like, but I want to be able to appreciate everything, and I can logically know that, but actually being it is different. And then I'm just like saying yes to jobs that I shouldn't be saying yes to because I don't have enough time to do it. I'm working harder than I should. I'm rushing to try and do a school run at the same time as run a business. Like, and then I'm, you know, stressing last night about having my mate on a podcast. Like, why do I put myself through this stress? I was sitting there thinking last night, why do I put myself through this stress?
Yeah.
You know, snapping at my missus a little bit, you know, and she's like, are you stressed? I'm like, yeah, I am actually. I've got Alfie coming on tomorrow, and I care about him, and you know what I mean. It's like, but why do I bother?
Yeah.
Why? But I think the ultimate thing is I've struggled in my life, and I want to create something like you said that allows people to hear or see something that makes them realise that they're not doomed.
Yeah.
That there is hope. You know, I know that sounds really profound. I'm like, You know, there'll be people that are big time fans of yours that will listen to this and take something from it that they never knew was inside you, that may help them.
Similarities as well.
Yeah,
You know, actually, I'm in the same sort of boat.
Yeah, we all bleed the
so,
same blood, you know, and everyone struggles, and I think that's what's driving me. I want others to benefit, and it's almost like I'm not able to just sit and relax and enjoy life, but I hope those that come after me can see the ability that they can, like my son or his son.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's too late, you know, already for my son. Maybe he's already tainted by me. I don't know, but you know, the next one and the next one. You know, like you're breaking the chain of like that doomed feeling. You know.
Yeah.
Alf,
Alf, thanks for coming on, mate.
Honestly,
mate,
man.
really
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time. I know
Thank
you're
you.
a million miles per hour.
No. Cheers,
Love
lads.
you, mate.
Thank you. You too, brother. You too. I love what you just said as well. That's definitely what it's about. Without doubt, just breaking that generational thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ledge.